What is going on, Governors? Chisgule here, and today we're going to do Eve of the Crusade Stage 1 and tell you how you can get value. If you like Rise of Kingdoms videos where we help you prepare for KVK, then you should like and subscribe because we've got literally multiple playlists on this topic, and we are a sponsored creator with Rise of Kingdoms. Eve of the Crusade is the set of events leading up to Kingdom versus Kingdom. At this point, the kingdoms have been announced for who you're up against, and in Stage 1, you get extra rewards for battling a special barbarian called a Marauder. Now, these Marauders can be found on the map when you zoom out, and if you zoom out enough but not too far, they're going to show up as a special green indicator. You can see here I've got that green diamond centered on the map when I zoom in. Boom, there's what they look like. They're like a slightly higher level barbarian with slightly better rewards. And when you battle these barbarians, you're going to get some number of these worn leather satchels. The worn leather satchels are honestly a relatively low drop rate. And when you go and battle barbarians, you can send multiple armies, and each army can get a satchel. So definitely don't only send one army, send many. Now, when you open up these satchels, you get some number of pages that, when combined, give you rewards. If we head over to the Eve of the Crusade tab, boom, there you have it. Here's where those pages show up, and you can exchange for goodies. Now, these chests can contain some amount of speed ups and other goodies. Let's go get a look and open up one of them now. There you go. An 8-hour speed up, which is pretty gosh darn solid. Some amount of stone and a little bit of gems. These chests are pretty reasonable to go and pick up. Now, the reason you may be wondering, Chisgule, why are you on your mini instead of your main, is that guess what? I don't actually need any experience from battling barbarians on my main. Fort Day is where my main account is going to be spending its action points. That's the third phase of the Eve of the Crusade events. So I'm on my mini to show you how you would spend a bunch of action points in phase 1 if that's what you wanted to do, because you really want to get some of those goodies. Now, if we go over to my items, I can show you here, we've got a lot of action points that we want to go and burn. Now, if you wanted to burn boatloads of action points in this part of the KVK preparation events, then my recommendation would be as follows. For those of you that are living in Zone 3, hashtag living that Zone 3 life, often it is hard to find nearby barbarians because everybody's running around and killing them. My recommendation to you would be to use a random teleport to get to some other part of the map where there are less likely to be as many players clustered around battling those barbarians. So let me show you what that would look like. We're going to go in, we're going to go to our items, we're going to hit other, and we're going to pop one of the 71 random teleports that we have, and let's see where we end up. If I zoom out, you can see already on the screen that I'm on that I had 4, count them, 4 Marauders right near where my city is. Now, if I zoom out a little more, you can see that we've made it into Zone 1. Zone 1 is a great place to be battling these barbs because guess what? The Marauders generally are plentiful where the players are not. Now, if you're battling Marauders, as I mentioned, you're going to want to send 5 full marches if you have that many troops because it takes a lot of time running around the map, spending down your action points, and you get the same number of rewards if you hit 5 different individual Marauders with one army as you do hitting one Marauder with 5 armies. So you go way faster using 5 armies at a time, not to mention that you don't have to go back to your city and refresh that army as much. So if I show you the 5 marches that I've got, I'm using Minamoto and Baibars. I'm also using a Lohar with Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu is my garrison captain, so I want to put experience onto him. My third march is Boudica with Joan of Arc. My next march is Belisarius with Pelagius. And my last march is Ethelfled and our good friend Herman. So we bring them out onto the field and we just, boom, send all 5 marches to go and smash. This is a faster, much more efficient way of battling these things because they are sort of scarce, and you can go and be even more efficient as a kingdom if you go in roving groups running around together and battling these. Of course, you're going to want to use an attack token. If you were near the Lost Temple, you might want to pick up a buff for attacking or defense or health, just to give you a little extra oomph. Even bonus experience is pretty good. And the reason that, again, I'm doing this on my mini instead of my main is that every one of the commanders I'm using here needs experience, whereas on my main, that's not the case. Basically, none of the commanders I would use need experience, so what's the point? So I'm running around now, and while we're doing this, I can show you that we used 10 marches, or 5 marches. We're battling 2 barbarians. So we'll have 10 reports in our inventory in just a moment from Marauders as this one is killed. Boom. So we've got 10 battle reports, and we got only 6 of these worn leather satchels. The drop rate is certainly not 100%. It's certainly not 100%, so don't expect that every single time you do this, you're going to get a reward. So we're going to just go and hit another one of these Marauders up over here. If we weren't recording this video right now, the thing that we would be doing is starting to chart a path for exactly where we want to go to get all of the barbs that we want to hit, and to make sure that we're not wasting a lot of time marching around, because that's really where you're going to be spending a lot of time. It would take me probably a day or more of like dedicated burning action points to actually burn through all of these action points that I've got saved up down here on my mini. So time efficiency is a thing that you want to go for. I guess to that end, a March Speed rune would be the very best rune that you could go and pick up at the Lost Temple or one of the other holy sites in your kingdom. Now, a couple other things worth mentioning. You can see here that one of my armies is moving much faster than the others. That's a little bit of a pain in the butt to deal with. One thing that you can do to mitigate that, although again, it takes more mental energy, is instead of just going and attacking the barbarian when you're walking over, the thing that you can do is march your troops next to the barbarian and then select which army you want to attack first. Now you can see here we're getting some amount of AoE value, that's area of effect value. Our buy bars does area damage, and if there are barbarians near the Marauders, then boom, you can hit those barbarians too and get some amount of free value. I could have had my other folks attack it as well, but that's not what I want to spend my action points on. Here's the example of me parking all my troops next to the Marauder before I hit it. The way that I did that is I double tapped any one of my marches, and you saw me struggling to do this a little earlier. I was accidentally hitting a farm spot, and then you can just drag and drop from any one of those marches onto the barbarian, and then they all hit at about the same time, which makes for a nice coordinated strike, and it makes it easier to manage the fact that your march speeds might be slightly different across your marches, but try to make them even if you can. Now, if you are trying to be a little more efficient, you could pop an army expansion. A 25% army expansion would be a pretty reasonable thing to use for an event like this if you're going to spend many hours running around battling these Marauders, and that'll make it so you have to go back to your city less frequently. Again, the other thing that can do that would be going as a large group. That will certainly speed things up, although there is a little bit of a coordination burden, all made easier by being in a voice chat like a Discord, although honestly, like I've been doing this pretty wordlessly with very minimal communication. You just wait for the person to be there and you run around together and throw some emojis and it's easy peasy, right? You just do one of these when you're ready and then you go together. Little thumbs up. When you are selecting your commanders for this operation, by the way, you'll notice here I have all peacekeepers as primaries. I have all peacekeepers as primaries because there is a reduced action cost from the talent points that are available to you. I'm sure you knew this already, but if we run into the talents, Insight is going to reduce the action points required to attack neutral units by 10, which is great. This is all about efficiency here, and having that reduced action point cost is really, really solid. So I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to talk about for this event. There's a few other micro optimizations, like you could select a time as an alliance to pop the buff for things like, if I step into our technology, unbridled progress, which is going to give everybody march speed. You could also do books and battles, which is going to give everybody attack and experience gain. These are the buffs that you should be using during this stage of the event, and you can pick a time for that to happen in your alliance. One other micro optimization is that most of us mere mortals have only 1,000 action points as our cap. One thing that you can try to do to make it so that you're always generating more action points is to not use potions above your action point cap. You can go over the 1,000 action points, and I can just show you what that looks like real quick. I'll go to boosts, actually it's other, and I'll pop a 500 action point potion, and okay, I need to do another one. Go to my items, we'll pop a 50 spot, and now we're over 1,000 action points. You can go over. The problem is that now you're not actually generating any action points. You no longer continue to generate action points when you're over your cap. So try to stay under your cap as you're running around doing this so that you can continue to generate action points while you're running around and battling these Marauders. As you go through this, you are going to gain some amount of honor for your kingdom, for yourself, and get some cool rewards at the end of the event for that as well. By virtue of being in Zone 1, you can see that we are having plenty of these Marauders to go and smash, and it is a much faster operation when you can find a nice pocket like this. If we go in and claim our rewards, and you need to do this periodically, otherwise your inbox will overflow and you're not going to get them. So we'll clear out those reports. If we use the number of satchels we've obtained so far, we got another 15 satchels. If we head over here, we can trade in for one more of the chest rewards, and we can open the Kingdom Supply chest. This one was way less exciting compared to the previous. I would say, in general, if you've got an account where all your commanders are pretty much maxed out anyways, Fort Day is a much better day for you. This is a thing you do not want to do if you already have all your commanders at level 60 and you're not actually gaining meaningful experience. For me personally, I'm going to be more focused on Fort Day for that reason. And also, I'm a really good candidate to be leading rallies, so it just makes a lot of sense for me to be the person who is doing that. There's probably a few other micro optimizations you could do here. One of those micro optimizations would be to scout a city occasionally for the 3% War Frenzy buff. I can just get a look around and see if there's a city nearby to scout and show you what that looks like real quick. Maybe there's a city. Nobody's here. Nobody's here because they're all in Zone 3, which is probably where they should be. All right. You get the idea. You've seen what it looks like to scout a city. That costs you some amount of gold to get 3% attack. That does feel like kind of a micro optimization to me. It is not going to add all that much value. Every one of these things that you cash in is going to get 7,000 points for your kingdom, which your kingdom will value. So hopefully you have enjoyed this video. Is there anything else about Stage 1 of Eve of the Crusade that we missed? If so, let me know down in the comments. Let me know how your Stage 1 is going. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.